Hello. This is a new selection of the most useful products from Aliexpress. This I promise you. Chaste. I, like many others, drag on a flash drive some confidential information. And to hide this information in case of loss of a flash drive, I use a special flash drive with a fingerprint. When folded, the fingerprint scanner is protected by a transparent case. It pulls out very tightly. With one hand it is impossible to bring the flash drive into working condition. During operation, a blue LED flashes on the case. This flash drive has its drawbacks, but I still like it. If a person has been driving for a long time, that monotonous movement along a winding road begins to act on the driver better than any sleeping pill. To avoid unwanted sleep, an interesting device was invented, Antison. Externally, the gadget resembles a hearing aid. The device responds to the driver's head tilted forward. As soon as the car owner lowers it by 15 to 20 degrees, a sound signal is triggered, from which the driver instantly wakes up. It works on batteries, which last for about a year of use. The TiVo Tarantula 3D printer is a three-dimensional printing device through which volumetric objects can be generated, duplicating a previously prepared virtual model of an object. No one doubts the relevance of 3D printing. This technology has passed the stage first formation and reached the point of maturity when for relatively little money, you can buy a 3D printer and it will actually print objects of good quality. If you dreamed of a mega gadget that could diversify a banal walk in the park, then you might be interested in rocket skates. Management, exactly the same as that of a Segway. You can find out the status of the battery and communicate with other users using a special application. Using this nozzle, you can turn an ordinary grinder into a belt grinder. In fact, this is an electric file. Using this item, it is very convenient to grind various objects and materials. Such machines are especially popular in the manufacture of knives. I reached Moscow in 2.5 weeks. The box, of course, was a little dented, but the contents were intact. And by the way, the adapter that comes with the kit has an M10 thread. These are shells for boiling eggs without shells. First, you can be skeptical, they say, that without these things I can't cook an egg. You can do without them, but it is more interesting with them. Unscrew the top cap, take the egg, shake and salt. Then fill in the mold. You can chop the sausages with cheese there, twist the cap and set to cook. Before pouring eggs, I recommend lubricating the forms with vegetable oil. Otherwise, it will then be difficult to hatch them out of forms. By the way, those who are now eating bon appetit. This is a lamp in the form of a soccer ball, which can glow in 7 colors and even change the backlight mode. It can work both from a network, and from finger batteries. At the top of the stand there is a longitudinal hole with 10 LED eyes. If you insert a luminous ball element, the light will propagate through its transparent plastic. In this case, the soccer ball itself will glow. There is a touch button on the stand with which the modes are switched. Oh, I'm looking at the ball and recalling the summer of 2018, namely, the World Cup. I already wept. The cult of coffee is slowly capturing the whole world. Now people have come up with a ceramic cup that can heat coffee. Technically, any drink can be poured there, at least milk, at least tea. It is controlled through the application. There you can adjust the heat, select the desired color of the LED and even drive a couple of patterns. Charges through the included wireless station. It looks like an ordinary saucer, only with a wire on the side. Standing on a charge, the cup will keep the desired temperature at least all day. QB is the first robot that can express its emotions. When turned on, the robot, as it were, wakes up, warms up and coquettishly greets its owner. If the robot is not disturbed for a while, it will remind itself of itself with various tricks. When connecting the robot via Bluetooth, music from the phone is automatically played through the speakers. And the robot will begin to dance merrily to the music, as if inviting to join the dance. Coffee spilled on important documents or gadgets scares everyone without exception. You can imitate the coffee stain with silicone glue and brown acrylic paint, Or just remember the Aliexpress. Imagine the shock of people when they see a mug of hot coffee spilling on their iPhone. Naturally, the coffee in it is not real, it is not even a liquid, but they will only find out later. It is important that a person has a sense of humor, otherwise you can get rid of him. Mom, do not grieve. This is a fully functional cube with the added benefit of glowing. Also, it is about twice as large as a standard cube. It spins and rotates just like the original. The main difference, of course, is the super bright backlighting of the LEDs powered by the battery. A full charge will provide at least 2 hours of lighting. This is something with something, isn't it? Nowadays, you don't need to be a superhero to throw fire from your hands. There is a gadget created for illusionists, which is a bracelet. Fixed on the wrist so that it can be hidden in the sleeve. It is controlled by a remote control, which is held in the other hand. The device can release fireballs 4 times in a row, then recharging is required. Fireballs inside the grooves are balls of cotton and paper, which glow inside the bracelet and fly out. This is a clock drawing time. It's a specific thing, it's unlikely to be used on a permanent basis, at least the marker will dry out over time. But as an unusual gadget in the piggy bank of crafts will fit perfectly. Oh yes, I almost forgot, they are delivered disassembled and naturally they will have to be assembled. I do not recommend collecting those with a nervous psyche, otherwise all the contents will be in the trash, and you will not see how they work. In fact, there are not so many details and intuitively what to insert where even without instructions. This is an off-road vehicle based on 2-track tracks. Someone calls him a track scooter, someone just an SUV. But somehow it's all lean and not about him. I would call it, at least, a caterpillar skate. Or simply shredder, a chopper, shredder, liquidator of space and everything why it moves. This monster can accelerate to 40 km/h. At the same time, it can transport not only a person, but also a small trailer weighing up to 550 kilograms. This is a smartwatch from Xiaomi. Briefly, the watch is great. Do not try to compare them with Samsung Gear or Apple, this is different, this is primarily a sports watch. They are closer to Suuntu. The display takes some getting used to and then starts to like. Everything is done for the sake of greater autonomy. They lasted on one charge for 5 days, provided that I constantly studied using the spear method. There were no problems connecting. I didn't have to install any VPNs, the Russian language arrived in one of the updates, and there were 3 to 4 of them. Column in the form of a skull. On the back are a 3.5mm jack, an input for the power supply, micro USB connector. On the mesh glasses, there are loudspeakers hiding here, 2 of 4.5W each, behind, a subwoofer, 9W. On matte plastic, prints are not particularly noticeable, but they are. The speaker plays with dignity, after all, 2 speakers and a small subwoofer. Designer Hulkbuster. I must say that this is not Lego, a Chinese fake. However, the arms and legs move perfectly. Especially worth noting the hands, fingers are compressed and unclenched. You can enhance the combat effectiveness of the suit by changing the brush of the left hand to a device in the form of a jackhammer. The helmet rises, and there is a special cabin in which Iron Man is quietly placed. In it, he controls this huge structure. The body rotates 360 degrees. You can and should play. The main thing is to do it with pleasure. Of course, there are drawbacks, but they are either not critical or are easily eliminated. Radio-controlled all-wheel drive buggy, in 1/10 scale. Speaking of speed, it's something like 30 to 35 km/h. Surely there is a faster one, but this too, relative to the dimensions of the model, is very fast, at least for an inexperienced user. In the sand you can safely twist circles, giving out whole clouds of dust. In general, I liked it. I would probably cut the speed by 1/3, so that I could increase cross-country ability. But this is my preference. For someone, speed is more important than cross-country ability. Fans of PUBG Mobile probably know that using wireless gamepads for the game will not work. Applications simply do not support these features. However, do not play the same PUBG with a simple touch of the fingers on the screen. One option remains. These are special triggers for the smartphone. They need to be attached to the top of the smartphone when it is in the position for the game. Index fingers with this arrangement are just at the level of these buttons. The only problem that may arise is the mismatch between the shooting and aiming buttons with the location of the nozzles. But this is easily fixed in the settings of the game itself. Headphones with bone conduction sound. They radically differ in the principle of transmitting musical frequencies to the organs of hearing. They leave the ear canal open to the perception of the outside world, and act on the temporal bones, transmitting waves to the solid components of the inner ear, passing the eardrum. This allows you to listen to better low frequencies and remain susceptible to external noise. Since the headphones are open type, naturally they have a sound leak. However, this is observed with any other headphones, to a greater or lesser extent, at different volumes depending on how tight they fit. This is all information that I want to share with you guys. Do not forget to subscribe our channel and like it.